Hello there, I'm Scotty. I review the Goosebumps show. And before we get on to our review, or an episode that makes me feel like this, I want to address something. So, those of you who saw my review when it first uploaded earlier on today may now notice that the title has changed. It went from Goosebumpathon, Goosebumpathon, the Haunted Mask, to Goosebumps, the Haunted Mask review, spoilers, thing. The reason for that, is that in that last video I said I was going to do a Goosebumpathon. Then I realized, as I was talking about, okay, how long do I want to do this for? Just the whole weekend. And I thought, wait a minute. I was planning something else this weekend. Which means that I had to change things. So instead of me being limited to a certain amount of time to do these, I can now stretch it out. It's just going to be reviewing the Goosebumps episodes, and I can buy more and I can add to it. So as of right now, I'm going in order of when the episodes were released. But of course now, once I buy more, I'll have to just review them whenever after the initial run of these is done. But as we are going in a specific order, I thought about changing it, but I already said that this was probably going to be the next one anyway. The Girl Who Cried Monster. Probably, I don't know if it's exactly my least favorite, but it's one of my least favorite episodes. The story surrounds a young girl named Lucy who believes that her school librarian is a monster. She dies to tell her brother and her parents they don't believe her, and she has to figure out a way to prove that he is a monster. The reason I don't like this episode is a twist that works in another episode, but in this episode makes no sense to me. It's a twist that's there for the sake of having a twist. I don't know if the book has that twist, but the episode having this twist doesn't make any sense to me. We'll get to it. So we meet Lucy, who is talking with her little brother. Her little brother, Randy, is afraid of everything. She tries to tell him that there's a toe eater, and she freaks out, and and she's talking about other monsters. And her parents say that monsters aren't real. Remember that. They say monsters aren't real. And so Lucy has this reader club at the library. Her and her friend go there, and she returns Black Beauty. She doesn't like it because she'd rather read books about monsters, so she checks out Frankenstein. And her and her friend go to leave, and she realizes she forgot her blades. 90s thing for rollerblades. My blades! She goes back and she sees Mr. Mortman, played by Eugene Lipinski, who you may know as Mr. 3 from Animorphs. I recognized him right away. Hey, it's Mr. 3. And he's feeding his pet tarantula crickets, which then he turns into a monster. He starts eating and turns into a monster with big googly eyes. And Lucy sees this, runs home, tells her parents. They don't believe her. She's very erratic. She's very yelling. There's a monster, he's a monster. They don't believe her. So, while talking to her friend on the phone, she comes up with the idea that the next day she will take a picture. She returns the book that she just rented the next day, and Frankenstein's not a small book. Yet she read it overnight. I guess she's a fast reader, quick reader. She pretends to leave. She says she doesn't want to check out another book. Pretends to leave, and then watches him once again eat the crickets, and then he eats the tarantula. I guess he was fattening it up so he could eat it. I don't know. It's like they saw that. Well, we're not gonna eat tarantula like this. Let's have him eat it. I don't know. Maybe he does it in the book, and maybe that explains it more. Books explain things more than episodes of TV. Episodes of TV shows and even movies can, but I don't know. He eats a tarantula. I'm like, what? I guess maybe he was, plumping up the spider with the crickets, but I don't know. But she takes a picture with the flash on, so he sees it. Somehow figures out it's her and chases her down, but she's able to get away. And she runs home, but she forgets her. He says backpack, she says knapsack later. He shows up at her house with the bag, and she refuses to open the door to him. Very smart. And then when he leaves and when the parents come home, she tries to tell them again and says they have to go to the photo hut place to develop the photos, which don't develop that fast. I get it, maybe it's a 1 hour photo. She says they were close to closing. So the best you'd be able to do is to send them there overnight while they got developed. Happened. The fact that it does develop, they develop them so quickly. How close were they? Were close enough to closing that she was worried they weren't going to make it. Yet, they were able to develop them quickly enough for them to have those photos the same day. And then Mortman just so happens to be there, which means he followed them there. He was still on the premises when the parents came home. And then he followed them there. That had to be what happened. And due to him bringing the bag, the parents invite him to dinner. And the photo, just so conveniently, has no picture of him in there. That he's not in the picture, which means that in this world, monsters can't be photographed. And it gets even more confusing with the twist. So, one comes over. They offer him a meatball. He eats it. He's like, "Oh, it's delicious." And then, he's like, "So what's for dinner?" And they go, "Well, now that you mention it, you are." And the parents reveal they have little fangs, and they eat Mr. Mortman. And here's the twist. It's revealed that the entire family is monsters. The parents, if it was something like, "Oh, the parents are monsters," the kids didn't know it, and then they tell them, "You're going, sorry we never told you, but soon, you're going to be getting your training thing soon, especially you, Lucy." But no, the kids just know that they're monsters. And now the rest of the episode makes no sense. Why was Randy so scared of monsters if he's also a monster? Why did the parents say monsters don't exist to their kids who are also monsters? What if Lucy knew that monsters existed? Why did she sound so childlike and so, kid-like? I mean, she's a kid, but why was she freaking out when she saw he was a monster? Why was she freaking out? Now, they do say that Mortman's the first monster in 20 years. But you think one monster finding another would tell the parents, "Hey, Mr. Mortman's a monster." But she's freaking out like a kid would, having no knowledge of monsters. And this episode frustrates me so much. So, if monsters don't photograph, then why did Lucy not? If Lucy is a monster and would therefore know that monsters don't photograph, why was her idea to take a picture? Or was it her friend's idea? I don't know. But I remember, if it was her friend's idea, she obviously couldn't shut it down. She had to do it. But still, why would she take his picture knowing that, and I don't know. knowing that he wouldn't photograph. And I don't know. And here's the thing: they're in their own home, and when they're in their own home, they should be able to talk probably about the situation. But they don't. They still act like there's no such thing as monsters. They act like regular people would, because if they didn't, the audience at home would know the twist already. All the talking about the stuff that goes on in the house is done strictly for the audience's benefit. And I hate when they do that, when a twist happens where you have to think and go, wait a minute, why wouldn't they mention all this stuff during their private conversations at home? Because if they did, the audience would be in on this. And they want to surprise the audience. And that's another thing, that all the logic in the episode makes no sense now. Because they were hiding everything for the audience's benefit, when in reality, if this was real and they were actual monsters living in the world, they wouldn't have to. They'd be in their own home, be able to talk privately and talk about this and talk it over. But no, they have to make the characters seem like normal people, so the plot doesn't work. The twist then doesn't work because it's been presented as everything being normal till this moment, and then once the switch is flipped, oh, they're monsters all along, and stuff. But it just makes no sense with the conversation. The parents say multiple times in the episode, monsters don't exist, monsters aren't real, in their own home, for the audience's benefit. And then, all of a sudden, now that it's okay to talk about it, now that the audience knows the twist, they can talk about it behind their own closed doors. It's just for the audience's benefit, and I hate twists like that. Like, it just makes no sense with the way the... And then Lucy's friend shows up, and they make you think they're gonna eat him. It's like, oh, what's for dessert? Well, now that you mention it, you like cherry pie? Even the kids are like, "You gonna eat him?" No. But they also play it off like he didn't see anything. Like, how long was he standing there? Did he see that Meat Mormon and he's acting stupid? Then they take their fans out again and he doesn't see that? Well, he's wearing a mask, but he still takes it off and they're still kind of fanged out. I don't know, this episode never made any sense to me, and made less and less sense as I got older. And I don't know if it's that way in the book. Sometimes TV episodes take liberties. I don't know. But when we get to Monster Blood, I'll discuss some changes. But I'll also talk about this book sequels, at least the first two. But I don't know. It just... I don't know. It just doesn't work, the episode. So when it comes to the Scare-O-Meter, I'm going to have to give it a 2 score. A 2 on the Scare-O-Meter. I'll give it a 2 on the Scare-O-Meter just because I like Eugene Lipinski, and he is probably the best thing in this. When he's the monster, he's freaking scary. It's a little kooky, but it works. The rest of the episode, meh. But yeah, that is the one good thing, is Eugene Lipinski. His performance is great. He comes off as creepy, and then when he's in full makeup with the costume and going, Lucy! Lucy! And now it's starting to turn to Ricky Ricardo, but you know what I mean. Lucy! How he somehow just knows it's her, because this movie, she was the last one there. I don't know, but yeah, it's a 2. So, what are your thoughts on The Girl Who Cried Monster? Let me comment below. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and if I could just peek at the next one here. Next one is okay, but does have comparisons to a horror movie I have reviewed, and I will talk about in that episode. So, thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.